This now brings us to our next delegate, Sophia Brown Ramsay, Manager Community Development, and Julian Hasford, Co-Chair Black Community Action Network, BCAN, providing a letter in response to the Integrity Commissioner's report presented to Regional Council on July the 12th. Welcome, ladies.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chairman Dale, members of council, my fellow citizens, those of you here, and those of you who are watching us online. Unfortunately, our co-chair could not be here today, Julian Hasford, so he sends his regrets. Now I come to you as one, but I must quote Maya Angelou's words that I sit here as 10,000. And when I talk about the Black community in Peel, I actually sit here as 131 plus thousand. So I thank you for having this discussion with us today. I have to tell you that I'm really not here to relitigate councillors' parish's behavior towards the Deputy Chief, Berkeley-Brown. The Integrity Commissioner and the vote actually have dealt with that. I have not been tasked at this time to blame or shame any individual in this chambers, but to bring your attention and your awareness to the impact, the immediate ripple effect that the last council meeting had on a significant number of the Black community, our supporters and our allies. I have been tasked to clarify the concerns from the community, together with bringing awareness to a significant, what we believe was a missed opportunity by council to demonstrate that even though this council does not reflect the Greater Peel community, it has indeed would have the awareness necessary to ensure that all of its constituents feels welcome, feels that they're being heard, feel that they are valued whenever they enter this chamber. I have been tasked to remind council that on that day they fell short. When these citizens go online and look at council's 20-year, Region of Peel 20-year strategic plan, that they felt short because the community that is supposed to be embracing diversity and inclusion, a community that is focused on living, on leading, and striving, did not have these individuals felt a part of that community on that day. Lastly, and this is perhaps the most important thing that I have been tasked to do today, is to help to bring or to build bridges and to help to bring some type of understanding about any future actions we might have as a community together. I think it's really important that I talk a little bit at this point about the Black community in Peel. The Black community in Peel is a vibrant community of 130 plus thousand individuals. Research shows that Peel boasts a majority of the most affluent Black individuals in the GTA, with the highest degree of home ownership, of education attainment. Peel's Black community has doctors, lawyers, magnificent students, school board trustees, business owners, university professors, one of which was my chair, would have been my chair today, and EDs that work with the non-for-profit, trying to do the work that all of us in this community needs to make sure we do and think of on a daily basis. We also contribute through our charity work. My husband has been a coach for some 30-plus years, and every year he keeps saying, those daggone kids, I'm not doing it again, but every year he goes back and does it. We have mentors, we donate blood, and we're fundraisers. We come out, we show up. And so we have been contributing to this society, the social and economic fabric of the region since its inception. One of those upstanding citizens is Deputy Chair Berkeley-Brown, who has spent the last 32 years protecting and serving this community. So I guess context is really important at this point, because at the end of the day, what I am hearing from many of the Black community, many of these respected taxpayers, is that based on the actions of council at the meeting regarding Councilor Parrish, they're not feeling included. They're not feeling respected. As a matter of fact, on that day, folks left this chamber in tears because they felt invisible. So I guess for me, and what that day looked like and what I've heard from the community is that the council's response on that day seemed to be more of a referendum on Councilor Parrish's character rather than looking at the true impact on the victim of the councilor's racist attack and the impact that it had on the Black community and their allies. The council's words and actions on that day contradicted their commitment to the Black community, causing widespread doubt in the minds of your constituents who contacted BCAN and spoke about being devastated and defeated, about what they witnessed and what they heard. And as I described before, what was shocking to me was the fact folks left this room in tears. Folks watched online from their office in tears. But what I'd like to highlight for you, and I have to back up because, you know, the other thing, and we don't like to say these words, but the other thing that I did hear of from these folks was that they felt like anti-Black racism is alive and well. So let me highlight for you that whether it was, I know this council has good intentions, but on that day, what it looked like for folks, what it looked like for the Black community is that anti-Black racism and discrimination was at work. So I'm here to tell you, just so there's an understanding that a council that is truly diverse only in gender, I'm not sure, can it adequately represent the racialized population of 73% for Brampton, 57% in Mississauga, 18% for Caledon. I don't know. How can a council that is not truly reflective of the growing diversity within this region effectively work to support and contribute to the equity of all of its constituents? It's a question we're asking ourselves. But it is situations like what occurred in July 2018 that makes us question that. So let's think about moving forward. What we would like to see happen is this opportunity for open discussions. I have 5 minutes, and I know I've got to go, but this is, as you can tell, this is very emotional for me. The important piece in this is a real movement and a real moment for Peel. It is an opportunity for us to come together. It is our hope that you can, look at working with us and seizing this opportunity to learn from this experience, to challenge your assumptions and biases, and to take actions that will illustrate your commitment to confronting systemic racism and building a stronger community for all. And so the community has tasked me to impress upon you that we will no longer sit by and watch as folks are feeling disrespected, or even worse. The Black community deserves more than the council showed us in July 2018. And I suspect that at this time, at some point, the voters will recognize this as well. So I'll have to end by another quote. This time is the notorious RBG, Justice Ruth. And what she has said, what she has asked of our brethren, of all our brethren, of our citizens, is to take your feet off of our necks. I know those are strong words, but sometimes that is what's needed. We're not here to hammer anything down on anyone. What we are here to do is express a sense of thanks for leadership. And I did see and experience some of that leadership on that day in July. We want to expand that kind of leadership. We want to expand this idea that all of us are here to work together, that each person within this chambers, whoever is watching online, needs to always feel that Peel is ahead of the game and all of its citizens count. On that date didn't happen. But that's okay, because things happen for a reason. And sometimes what it does is open up opportunities for all of us to live to a higher angel. Thank you.
Thank you. If you'd stay in place, I have first on the list is Councillor Downey.
Thank you for your presentation, Sophia. It was a difficult meeting that day, and I didn't say anything. I didn't speak up. And I can tell you it was more difficult for me when I got home and heard from my family for not speaking up, because I let them down and I let my community down. My father is Black and my mother is white. That's not obvious to a lot of people, and I see that. I also see that I have a privilege afforded to me that is not afforded to my cousins and my aunts and my uncles.
Right.
It just isn't. I think what's important is awareness of that privilege. And I can tell you that my awareness of that privilege shapes the way that I do my job around this table. It shapes the way that I serve my community. I thank you for coming here today because the discussion is important.
Yeah.
I'm happy to move your presentation, and with the support of my colleagues, I believe we'll need a 2/3 vote to reopen. I would like to move, if you're receptive to it, points 3 and 4 in your presentation as a motion moving forward for this council.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Sprovieri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much, Sophia. You're an amazing speaker, and I think you would really add a lot of value if you ran for council and you'd be sitting around this table. Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever thought of running for council?
I respect what you do. I respect the leadership. Absolutely, I think of that. But at this time, no, for me. I love having this opportunity to represent and advocate and speak and come together. I love that.
And you really deliver the message really in a fantastic way. And
Thank you.
Thank you for that, for coming here and in your presentation. I have to ask you this question.
Please.
And I don't know what you expected us to do with Councillor Parrish, whether we wanted to put her in the middle of the floor there and give her the whipping one at a time. And if that made you happy, I don't know.
Okay, so let me,
But-
it's okay.
But-
It's okay, I can address that.
Yes, please, please. Tell us what you expected from us as a
No,
council.
but what I do
She just
expect
did.
right now from
Yes.
you respectfully
Yes.
is not a question like that.
What,
I respect with your experience in age, experience working with the community, that this question would never have happened. And so what I am saying to you, and I'm so grateful that when I put in the application to do this piece, that I was asked to come and do that, because I think this is what needs to happen.
Yes.
We need to have these conversations.
Of course.
It is not for us to whip anyone. That's had gone out when my ancestors were being whipped. It's not happening now. What we need to do is encourage and for you to understand why it's important to hear the Black community, to not behave like they're invisible. And when, it's as if in my family, if my husband makes a mistake, if my child makes a mistake, we have to deal with that. And we have to say, here's the mistake that you made. Have them recognize that it was a mistake and learn from it and move away from that. It is not for us to, hug out the family member and say to them, it's okay. Don't worry, you just made a mistake, and push things under the rug. It's not okay. You are my representative. You're supposed to be taking care of me. You're supposed to be supporting me. You're not, respectfully, ever supposed to be asking me a question like that.
Well,
What that says is that you don't understand,
Well-
and that's really too bad.
okay, so here I go with my next question. And I'm known for 30 years' experience, and I'm known to be a very front-up guy.
I'm
And-
sorry?
Very front-up. I just
Okay.
speak up, and I speak my mind, and I don't hold back.
Okay.
Because I really, you say I shouldn't have asked that question. I know I crossed the line. I know that.
Okay.
And I did that intentionally, just to set up my next question for you. I think that there's a lot bigger issues that have to be addressed than this issue that we're dealing with today, dealing with the Black community. Every time a young Black dies, it bleeds, my heart bleeds. We hear almost every week, there's shootings and stabbings and this, young people are killing each other. And every time somebody dies, my heart bleeds for that family, for that mother, for the father, for the family.
Yeah.
I've lost a son, a 19-year-old son, and I know the hurt when you lose a child. I know that. And it hurts me when I hear all these young people, what they're doing and what's going on in Peel region, in Toronto especially. And many of these young people are from the Black community, young teenagers, young people. This is what I believe it should be the biggest issue here in Peel region. How do we deal with stopping this activity that's going on? This is what I would really hope that your group is very influential. You have a network, is to actually come here and say, Council, we have this huge problem amongst our youth. What can we do to fix the problem? And what happened with Councillor Parrish, okay, it's all related to all this greater problem, okay? If there was, this is all related to what's going on. And Councillor Parrish, I know, she's one of the most dedicated person for community safety, to dealing with community safety, to try to deal with these problems. So this is what I'm asking. It's a bigger issue that should be addressed here. What can we do?
Councilor Sprovieri?
Yes.
You're,
I'm asking a question.
well,
I'm asking,
Going
what
around.
can we do to fix this problem or to make it go away? Because it's getting worse. Every week, it's getting worse. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. So please,
So I am going to say to you, I will say to you, you're absolutely right. That is a very big issue.
yes.
And that is an issue that absolutely we can discuss here, we can discuss at the Peel Police Board. But for today, that is not the issue.
Well, it should be. It should be. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think before we proceed to the next speaker, I'm going to ask Councillor Downey, I think your intent originally was to move a motion, I believe, to waive the rules so that we could discuss this or discuss any of the content that was brought forward by the delegate. So I'm going to ask that you take that motion now, that you move that, and seconded by Councillor Yanika. Show of hands, I need 2/3 of it. Yes. Okay. Point of clarification from Councillor Sept.
Turn on Councillor Salo's mic, please. Why would we need to waive the rules? We have a deputation in front of us.
Right.
They have made a request, she has made a request, they, because you're speaking collectively, have made a request that is on the presentation for request. You said demands, so I'm going to change that to request because
I'm very
we're working
comfortable.
together, you know
I'm very
that.
comfortable with that, absolutely.
I don't think we need to reopen anything. I don't think we need to waive the rules.
Well,
I think we need to.
On a point of procedure,
talk
under our
to the
procedure
request.
bylaws, to be questions only, and we're going, and I know I've been pretty liberal in
But we can move a
extending that.
motion. I moved a motion earlier
No.
to refer a deputation's
Yeah,
request
and that's
to
part of the
staff.
protocol, you can do that.
But can
but in order for us
Councillor
to discuss-
Downey not move a motion to direct staff? She's only going to be referring staff to bring forward a report to the new council, because I think that's the most appropriate way of dealing with it, to establish committees that are being requested today. That's a referral. I don't see it any differently than what I just did on the previous deputation.
I'm going to ask the clerk to clarify, but I think you're incorrect.
Let's not confuse things and make it more convoluted.
I'm not trying
The
to.
only motions that can come out of a delegation are for receipt or referral.
And
What I
she can
heard from,
refer.
what I heard from Councillor Downey was not a referral motion, but an action motion, which does require a waiving of the rules, 2/3, before we
Okay,
can
I'm fine
do
with
that.
that then. Okay, thank you. Executive support.
Thanks for raising it. All those in favor?
Okay, sorry.
Opposed, if any? Oh, yeah, it's a recorded vote, please.
So all those in favor? Quick go around the table. Yes, it is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to the next delegate, or the next person on my list, rather. Councillor Groves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sophia, thank you for coming in and for actually having the courage to sit before us today. This is a very sensitive issue, but I think it's an issue that needed to be raised and addressed. Please accept my apology as a member of council that the community left here back in July feeling invisible, not listened to, and all the things that you raised. That certainly isn't what we want to do here as members of council. And this issue affects and hurts a lot of people. And it isn't just the Black community, it's every visible minority. One of the things I love about this country and I love about this region is its diversity. Nobody should feel invisible. So please accept my apology as a member of council. And I think that the awareness piece needs to be out there. My favorite singer, because I'm from Jamaica, is Bob Marley. Bob Marley taught us a lot, how to live in harmony, how to live peacefully, how to get along. And I think that that's what we need to do, is to learn how to get along, learn how to coexist in a society that's really changing, in a society that is diverse. I can tell you in Caledon, Caledon is changing. It's becoming more and more diverse. So I think that we all have a responsibility, and I think we all have an obligation to not just your community, but I think, as I said, every visible minority in this region, in this province, in this country. And I think Canada was built on diversity. So once again, thank you. And I know that we have a program that we're putting in place to deal with these sensitive issues and to learn how to deal with all of these sensitive issues. So we don't want to take a step backwards.
Absolutely,
We want to go forward.
absolutely.
And I don't want to go back, and I had a wise friend of mine, 89 years old, said, never look in the rearview mirror. You can't change what happened, but you can certainly make a difference moving forward. So I think that we need to move forward. I think that we need to learn and take this as a lesson. It's a really hard lesson.
Right.
It's a good lesson. And I think that the message that I would like you to convey to your members of your group and the community is that Peel Region and this council respects every individual in this region. So again, thank you. As a child coming in this country, I was 12 years old. I've experienced some of it, but one of the things I've learned, and my mother taught us, we have 6 children in our family, raised in a tough neighborhood, raised by a single mother. You don't use those things to fail. You rise above it and you use them to succeed. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Moore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Sophia, I can't thank you enough for your presentation today. I think the fact that you could hear a pin drop in these council chambers, there wasn't a single person that I saw looking at their technology, says that you have a message that we needed to hear, we wanted to hear. And I really want to thank you for coming forward and giving us the opportunity to continue the dialogue on this. I'm happy to second the establishment of 3 and 4 because 1 and 2 are the rearview mirror, so to speak. But 3 and 4 definitely. And I know that locally in our municipalities, we are doing things and we're doing it here at the region. But I do think there's a lot of merit in sort of pulling it all together so that what we are doing is obvious. I'm really saddened to hear that people left the council chambers and that in tears. As the proud mother of a gay daughter and a Guyanese daughter-in-law, I have always said that nobody should leave their front door in the morning feeling not safe.
Absolutely.
And you left the council chambers not feeling safe that day. And that's not okay in the context of this level of government, and it's not okay in the community. So the fact that you've come forward and given us the opportunity to continue the dialogue so that that what we are doing is obvious, that you feel safe, that all groups in our community, whether it's the Black community, whether it's the LGBTQ2 community, everybody feels safe walking out their front door. So I'm proud and happy to be able to second number 3 and 4. I hope you're a partner at the table. Well, I don't have to hope. I know you're going to make sure that you're there, as do other groups.
Thank you.
We started this term of council in an Inclusion and Equity Committee at the City of Brampton.
Correct.
Like all new committees, they have to figure out how they kind of fit in the world.
Right.
And it was interesting because when we interviewed members from the community, we advertised and interviewed. We didn't have anybody obvious apply to sit on the committee from the LGBTQ community or from our Indigenous communities, and we've got a strong Peel Aboriginal network, so we reached out to them specifically to make sure that they were represented on the board. But again, if it's not obvious, and we don't have community partners helping to sort of pull us up the ladder as we go, then I think that all of our hard work is not going to be appreciated. So thank you
I
very much
appreciate
for
it.
coming today.
We appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Crombie.
I was going to offer to second it as well. Thank you. You know, I think this is a time for healing and a time for more dialogue. I'm the child of immigrants, but
I do feel like I had a lot of privilege growing up, boundless opportunity, and I've always said that in Mississauga, everyone should have an equal opportunity to succeed. And even though I see us as a vibrant, dynamic, diverse, and inclusive city, if there is one person that doesn't feel that they have that same opportunity or feel included, then we've failed. I have to say that. So this must be corrected. We've done our share to try to correct it, and I'm going to make another suggestion, and I hope it will be well received. I mean, certainly we, and Councillor Parrish knows this very well, have the Moulton Black Development Association, because she works very closely with them. We have the vibrant Congress of Black Women.
Yes.
Very vibrant. And I know that the chief has a Black Community Advisory Committee as well, but clearly not enough. We in Mississauga also have our DIAC, Diversity and Inclusion Committee. I am very, very proud of the establishment of that. Councillor McFadden, Councillor Starr co-chair that. We had 160 applicants. We chose 20 people. We had to be sure that every major religious and cultural group were covered, and we had 4 stakeholders. Denise Mahmoud Gordon and Sulin Knight were our representatives. Sulin has recently resigned, and we'll have to change up that committee going forward. But certainly, we did attempt to rectify what you see, which is not a lot of diversity at the table. We wanted to be sure we had our ear to the diverse communities for impact. Now, the suggestion I was going to make was, notwithstanding Black Heritage Month each year, we can do something and step up, but it is also the UN's International Decade for People of African Descent.
Correct.
2015 for 2024, and I would like to suggest that I'm certainly going to do it in Mississauga. Maybe we could have a Peel event. We could work together with BCAN and create the best event for the International Decade for People of African Descent. And
Correct.
we will be the envy of all, and we will include input from everyone. And I don't know what we'll do, but let's sit down and make it huge. And we will listen, and we will create this subcommittee on focusing on anti-racism, because we got to do better.
Thank you.
We are not going to leave anyone behind. We're not going to let anyone leave this meeting in tears ever again, ever. And we're going to do, I know each and every one of us who are coming back will step up.
Yes.
Because if you don't feel included, we haven't done our job. We should all feel included. And I know each city will. I know I have the support of Mayor Thompson, Mayor Jeffrey, and we will do better. We will do better because we have to.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Mayor, we can refer that to the Office of Culture and Inclusion too.
Yes,
for
please.
remarks.
Whatever
Okay.
comes out of this subcommittee, I would like it to be a component of steps going forward. It'd be a nice celebration.
Councillor Sato, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Very well said. I'm not going to repeat what I said in my letter to you
Yes, thank you for that.
because
Thank you for that.
I told you my feelings, my situation, and it was between me and you
Thank you.
and the
Yes.
other recipients of the letter, and you know how I feel.
Yes.
This summer, I have spent a lot of time meeting with the Black community in Ward 9, and I have a large population. I work very closely, as you know, with Praise Cathedral, Seventh-day Adventist. Just this week, we had a meeting with Peel HIV, and we are going to be bringing more programs into the Meadowvale community for young women of color to work with lovely young lady Vanessa, who had her 6-week-old baby with her at the meeting with the faith leaders that I brought together the other day. It's very important, and every time I meet with the community, I learn something new. And it's not what's on the surface, it's what's behind. And I don't think that anyone leaving this chamber should just feel safe, or anyone representing any culture, religion, sexual preference, whatever it is. They should also feel respected.
Right.
And I think that is vitally important.
Right.
You know that in my letter I spoke about the hiring practices, because that was section 4, you talked about
Yes.
that. We have just done that at the city. And one of the things that I said to you in my letter, that I talked at the Accessibility Advisory Committee, where the presentation for our human resources new strategy was, and I used the word equity. And I was reminded by the consultant, who happened to be a young woman of color, brilliant young lady. She just gave an outstanding presentation. And she said, "Counselor, I'm going to correct you on that. It's not about equity, it's about fairness. And we need policies that are fair to everyone, that there will never be equity. There are areas where you will not have equity, but you must always have fairness." And that really stuck with me, and I think we need to do that. I fully support the committee at the Region of Peel.
Very
I
good.
told you that back in July.
Yes,
I
you
am
did.
fully supportive of that. We, as the mayor said, we have the city at the, the committee at the City of Mississauga. We can do a lot more with that committee.
Yes.
It was in its infancy this last term, but there's a lot more that can happen there. The motion that is before us today, that Councillor Downey put forward, we cannot pass a motion for the City of Mississauga and Brampton and Caledon to create committees because we don't have that authority. But we can word it in such a way that the Region of Peel, the second, number 4, that the Region of Peel do this and request the municipalities to do the same. And you heard Brampton has their inclusion committee as well. So, and as I said to you in my letter, I don't think that it's just about, and I want to be careful with my wording because the word just can be taken, so
Yes.
it's not meant to trivialize anything.
Okay.
But it's not just about working and respecting and keeping the Black community safe. It's everyone that is part of our inclusive society. So I think the committee needs to be, and you did put it in here, you did say anti-Black racism and anti-racism. So I appreciate that because I know originally you were asking to be dealing with racism against the Black community. And, you know, we have some people that you missed on your list of the wonderful members of the community that are in Mississauga. A great friend of mine, Susan Stewart, an Olympic athlete.
Yes?
Absolutely
worked with her.
outstanding
She's-
young
yes.
lady. I'm sure you know
Yes, of
Susan.
course.
And I can tell you that she keeps me up to date on everything. She's a
Right.
very, very good friend and absolutely outstanding member of the community. And she's a woman, of course. You know, we all relate to that as well.
Thank you. Council, I wonder if I could suggest something, and this will probably be something for everyone to consider. The experience and what I hear when I sit down with members of our community, and you're absolutely right, your intentions, right, when you say, I don't want to just think about the Black community feeling safe, feeling respected. We want to think about everyone. I understand that. But the challenge with that for a Black person when they hear that is that here we go again, where there's an opportunity for folks to understand what it feels like to be a Black person in our skin. It's taken away when we're adding everyone to that piece. Does that make sense? And I say
I
that with, I
understand where you're
say that
coming
with the greatest of respect. I really do. What I'm encouraging our leaders in this chamber to remember is that you're right. You want to look at fairness, you want to look at equity, you want to look at all of that. But it would be, for instance, if I may, just to show you what we're talking about here, when we're talking about equity, and I'm sure you've seen this. And so, you
Yes,
know,
I have.
here you are,
Yep.
person of another color, white, European, and this is where you stand. And this is where we, as a people, might be standing. If, in fact, we need to be fair, we can't reach that by giving us the same thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't work that way. You have to be able to prop us up with something underneath this to bring us to this place.
Right.
Right? And so this is the leadership in here. This is what I encourage you. This is what I know you can do because you would not have been elected.
Yeah.
So again, you know, I say that with no disrespect at all, but the very most respect because I want you to be successful. it is incumbent upon us to work together so that you're all successful, because then my child, my grandchildren will also be successful.
So
Thank
I'm going to ask the deputy on a question.
Okay.
The motion is that the committee be established. There's
Yes.
going to have to be a report coming back to regional council.
Yes,
I would assume, and I'm going to presume
okay.
this, that you would be willing to, because staff have to formulate a report, have a draft terms of reference for the committee, et cetera,
Yes.
that you would be willing to work with the staff that are going to be writing the report, and I'm not sure who that would be at this point in time, which department, and provide your input into that. And so that when the report comes forward,
Yeah.
you have had early input into what that committee would look like, because I think you've made some really valid points today, and I don't want to make a decision today
Right.
without hearing that, because I want to say that we're going to hear, and I can pretty well guarantee it, that we will hear from other religions, other cultures, that they disagree that the committee should be single-focused.
Right.
So we're going to have to, we need to hear that. So we need you to have that input so that when it comes back, when Councillor Downey's request for the report comes back, we have all of the facts in front of us. And I know you.
It would
you
be my privilege. It will be my
Okay,
privilege to
thank
do
you.
that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Thompson.
Thank you, Sophia, for your delegation today. I think it's important that you were here on behalf of BCAN, and thank you for coming,
Yeah.
because I don't think any of us have any intention to ever have anybody feel invisible.
Yeah.
And you made it visible today,
Yes.
so you accomplished what you wanted to do. Well done.
Thank
You
you.
have my admiration for that.
Thank you.
And I do want to say with what Mayor Crombie did say, I do agree with her wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do as leaders, and a lot of times we make intentions, but we got to remember that we have to be disciplined on what we say,
Right.
because everybody's listening and it matters to everyone.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
for the reality check that you brought to us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Jeffrey.
Good afternoon. I thought your words were thoughtful. You made a teachable moment out of what was really a very difficult day. And your comments were very meaningful. So thank you. I thought what Councillor Downey said was very powerful. And I feel the same, which is why I'm speaking today. The time when we were supposed to talk about this issue the last time, this issue was before an in-camera conversation at the Police Services Board, which is the reason I didn't say anything then. And in a rush to follow the rules, I didn't do what was right, which is what you're asking us to do today, which is to apologize for for the hurt that those comments made and for the disrespect that was felt. So I'm here to apologize that I didn't say that then. As someone who sat around the Police Services Board and who hired Ingrid Berkeley-Brown, she rose to the top in the interview process. I know I shouldn't tell these tales out of school, but I think the police board members would agree with me. She shone in that interview, and I think, you talk about someone who serves with character and competence. She has before, and she continues to do that, so we're proud to have her there. What you brought to us today needs to be a continuing conversation. I anticipate we're going to have some more tough conversations, particularly at the Police Services Board. We're about to get the results of an equity audit that's going to come back. I don't imagine that what we're going to hear is anything that's going to surprise anybody, but it's going to continue to be difficult. So I appreciate the courage and the character it took to come here to say what you did. I hear you, you're right, and I'm happy to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Thank
Chair.
you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Parrish.
Yes, Sophia, thank you very much for coming today. Sometimes good things come out of bad experiences. If you know me, you don't. I'm a fighter. And what I could have done on the 12th was fight back really hard because I was put in a position by someone else on council that used it as a political battering ram, and I'm not apologizing for that. I chose not to fight back. I chose to take it with as much grace as I could because what I said was wrong. It doesn't matter what the circumstances were. The diversity committee you're suggesting, I brought in 1990 at the Peel Board of Education so that we could put black principals in schools where the kids were predominantly black. And that policy continues today. I want you to forgive my colleagues who defended me that day. Those are people who know I've spent 33 years of my political career fighting for all underdogs and all minorities. So forgive them for being my friends and for really knowing who I am.
Never forgive them for being your friends. They are your friends. They're there. to
But I thank
support.
you for coming today, and I wholeheartedly support this committee. And I work very hard for Malton, which is about 68% non-white. I've done a lot up there, and one of the things I promised to do is get the youth hub into the Lincoln Alexander School, so all kids feel safe and comfortable and respected. And I am sorry that you had to go through this, but I'm very proud of the terrific job you did today. And I'm not such a bad person. I think we should hang out a bit together.
Thank you. Thank you for those words. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Certainly, I want to thank you too, Sophia, for being here today, and thank you for the professional and respectful manner in which you presented yourself to council. Very dignified. And as you can see, your message certainly has resonated with all of us here. And I think the motion that should be passed as soon as I read it out, confirms that. Motion has been moved by Councillor Downey, seconded by Councillor Moore, that a committee be established with a focus on anti-racism and equity to advise council on matters concerning anti-black racism and anti-racism, including approaches to training and accountability, and further that the Region of Peel create or expand equity and diversity divisions to ensure that there is a mechanism to address issues of anti-racism, inclusion, and equity in the workplace, and request the City of Mississauga, the City of Brampton, and the Town of Caledon to do likewise.
Thank you.
I'll call for the vote. No, I've called. It's been called.
Additionally, I asked for speak before. There is a motion on the floor, and we have a right to speak on the motion.
Yeah. Everyone's spoken to it. You've heard it.
To the motion. I have not spoken to the motion. I just wanted to say 2 words.
Well, I'll give you 2 words. Thank you.
Sophia, I came here in '56 as a boy, 11-year-old boy from Italy. And I tell you, I experienced a lot of hardship myself as an immigrant in a new country. So sometimes it's not about racism, it's just about, people, it's hard to accept newcomers, And that's the problem we have. It's not, I think it's not really, I call it, I don't want to refer to racism, but I call it people have a hard time accepting new people. And that's what I found as a boy
Thank you,
when I came
Councillor.
here. So, but anyway, I wish
Councillor,
you.
thank you.
Sophia, I wish you'd come back about the other issue. It's really close to my heart
Yeah.
because we need to deal with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Recorded vote, please.
Thank you.
Okay, yep, stand and record a vote. All in favor?
Wow.
Okay, we'll read the names out for the record.
Counselor Carlson, Mayor Crombie, Counselor Downey, Counselor Fonseca, Counselor Gibson, Counselor Groves, Counselor Ianika, Counselor Innes, Mayor Jeffrey, Counselor Kovac, Counselor Mahoney, Counselor McFadden, Counselor Medeiros, Counselor Miles, Counselor Moore, Counselor Pileshi, Counselor Parrish, Counselor Raz, Counselor Sato, Counselor Shaughnessy, Counselor Spovieri, Counselor Starr, Mayor Thompson, Counselor Cook.
I would
It's
stand,
unanimous.
but I don't-
Wow. Thank you.
All right, I'll stay. Usually I'm not allowed to leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you. So can I just have a final word?
Sure.
I just want to thank you, Chair Dale, for your service. I know you're leaving us. I want to thank you for that.
So thank you.
And each and every counselor in the room that is not coming back, I want to thank you for your service and for your leadership and for the fact that you have loved your community and that you've given back to your community. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No, we have one more delegation.